It started as a normal HOA complaint, trash cans out overnight. But within minutes, police sirens, screaming neighbors, and one unhinged woman holding pepper spray turned a quiet cul-de-sac into a war zone. What happened next shocked everyone watching, and was caught on camera. It started with something so small that, under normal circumstances, nobody would even remember it the next day. A couple of trash cans left out overnight. That was it. No shouting. No sirens. No police. Just plastic bins sitting a few feet too close to the curb in a quiet, picture-perfect neighborhood. But by the end of that afternoon, those same trash cans would be the reason police officers were blinded, children were screaming, and an entire cul-de-sac would never feel safe again. Maplewood Estates was the kind of place real estate agents loved to brag about. Clean sidewalks. Identical mailboxes. Lawns trimmed with military precision. The kind of neighborhood where nothing happened unless the HOA approved it first. People moved there expecting peace, order, and predictability. What they didn't expect was that one person could turn that order into a weapon. Everyone knew Karen. She wasn't just a resident. She wasn't just an HOA volunteer. In her own mind, Karen was the HOA. She walked the neighborhood every morning wearing oversized sunglasses and a visor, phone always in hand, scanning for violations like a detective hunting criminals. Grass a half-inch too tall. A car parked slightly crooked. A decoration left out one day too long. Karen saw all of it. And she documented everything. Most neighbors avoided her. Not because she was loud, but because she was relentless. Confrontations with Karen never ended well. She didn't argue to understand. She argued to dominate. And when she didn't get her way, she escalated. Notes on doors turned into fines. Fines turned into threats. Threats turned into harassment. And everyone knew pushing back only made things worse. The Ramirez family had moved into Maplewood Estates less than a year earlier. Good people. Quiet. Friendly. They kept to themselves and followed the rules as best they could. That weekend, they hosted a small birthday party for their daughter. Nothing wild. Just balloons, cake, a few friends, and laughter echoing down the street for a couple of hours. By the time the party ended, it was late. Parents were tired. Kids were half asleep. In the rush of cleaning up, they forgot one thing: the trash cans were still out front when night fell. That single mistake was all Karen needed. By morning, Karen was already outside, snapping pictures like she was gathering evidence for a felony case. She crouched down to photograph the labels on the bins. She zoomed in on the address numbers. She scribbled notes furiously on a yellow legal pad, muttering under her breath. The Ramirez kids watched from inside, confused and uneasy. They didn't understand why a grown woman was taking pictures of their trash. By noon, a violation notice appeared on the Ramirez front door. Not just a warning. A full citation accusing them of habitual noncompliance and threatening escalating fines. Karen had even posted about it on the HOA bulletin board for everyone to see. That was when Mr. Ramirez finally had enough. He walked outside, read the notice, and crumpled it in his hand. Karen was already standing across the street, watching, arms crossed like she'd been waiting for this moment. "We're done with this," he said, his voice shaking with frustration. "You don't get to harass my family over trash cans." Karen's face flushed red instantly. "I am enforcing the rules," she snapped. "And you will comply." "No," he replied. "We're calling the board ourselves." That word, board, hit Karen like an insult. "I am the board," she screamed, her voice echoing across the cul-de-sac. "And anyone who defies me is a threat to this community." Doors began to open. Neighbors stepped outside, phones already in their hands. They'd seen Karen lose control before, but never like this. Karen stepped closer, pointing her finger inches from Mr. Ramirez's face, shouting about fines, liens, and legal action. His wife pulled him back, worried about the kids. People started telling Karen to calm down, to step back. to leave them alone. That's when Karen realized something terrifying. She was losing control. Without another word, she spun around and stormed back into her house. For a moment, everyone thought it was over. That she'd retreat, send more letters, maybe file another complaint. Instead, she came back out holding something small and black in her fist. At first, no one understood what it was. Then the light caught it. Pepper spray. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Parents grabbed their children. Dogs began barking. Someone shouted for her to put it down. Karen raised the canister like a badge. If HOA rules won't be respected, she yelled, I will enforce them myself. Panic spread instantly. Kids started crying. Neighbors backed away. Phones zoomed in. This wasn't just a dispute anymore. This was dangerous. Someone called the police. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder with every second. 2 patrol cars pulled up fast, lights flashing. Officers stepped out calmly, hands open, voices steady. Ma'am, one officer said, put the spray down. Let's talk. Karen shook her head violently. They're trashing the neighborhood, she screamed. And now you're siding with them. The officers tried again. They explained no one was under arrest. That no one was in danger. That she needed to lower the spray. Karen began ranting about conspiracies. About how the police should answer to the HOA. About how everyone was plotting against her. Neighbors stood frozen, watching in disbelief. This didn't feel real. This felt like something that belonged on the internet, not their street. Then it happened. In one sudden, unhinged motion, Karen raised the canister and sprayed directly at the officers. A sharp hiss cut through the air. Orange mist blasted across their faces. The reaction was instant. The officers staggered backward, clutching their eyes, coughing violently. Screams erupted from the crowd. Kids shrieked in terror. Dogs howled. People ran in every direction. The Ramirez family dragged their children inside and slammed the door. Karen stood in the middle of the street, chest heaving, holding the emptying canister high. This is my neighborhood, she screamed. I am the authority. Backup was called immediately. Radios crackled with urgency. Within minutes, more police cars flooded Maplewood Estates. Lights painted every house red and blue. Officers arrived wearing protective gear, forming a line. Karen wasn't done. She sprayed again, wildly this time, catching a nearby neighbor who collapsed on their lawn, choking and screaming. That's it, someone yelled. She's insane. Officers advanced carefully. Shields up, one shouted. Karen screamed like a cornered animal, ranting about oppression and dictatorship. She tried to spray again, but the canister sputtered. Empty. The moment it ran out, everything changed. 2 officers rushed forward and tackled her to the ground. Karen thrashed, clawed, kicked, screaming obscenities and threats. Phones captured every second as she was pinned face down on the asphalt. I'll sue you all, she shrieked. I own this street. Her wrists were cuffed. Her hair was wild. Her robe torn. She spat insults at the neighbors who watched in stunned silence. Paramedics treated the officers and the neighbor who had been sprayed. Children sobbed. Parents hugged them tightly. The air burned with chemical residue. Karen was shoved into the back of a cruiser, still screaming, her voice muffled behind the closed door. When the police finally left, the neighborhood was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Maplewood Estates would never be the same again. All because of trash cans.